Hi, welcome to Speaking of Faith, occasional conversations about faith and life and so much in between. My name is Chris Holmes. I'm the Stembler Scholar and one of the pastors on staff here at First Presbyterian Church of Atlanta. And I have the great pleasure of talking with Wright Marsh, who is the Director of Theological Horizons, an organization that supports Christians and seekers in academia by providing a welcoming community for faith and conversation associated with the University of Virginia up in Charlottesville. And just so glad that we're getting to talk together today.
I'm enjoying it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. So I want to focus in this video about the religious lives of college students, which many people could say is like the great unknown, the great mystery of our time is what are college students and how are they religious? Yeah. And I want to start with where you live. You say you live in the Bonhoeffer house, and maybe some of our viewers know who Bonhoeffer was, but they may have no idea that Bonhoeffer had a house and that you live in it. And so I'm wondering if you can say more about the house and the sort of work that you do in the Bonhoeffer house.
Well, we are huge fans of Dietrich Bonhoeffer. My husband, Charles Marsh, wrote a biography called Strange Glory, A Life of Bonhoeffer. So we named the house after the wonderful pastor. Delivery people have called me Mrs. Bonhoeffer, which is actually not right at all. But what we hoped to achieve as a family and as a ministry is to create a home, an expression of Christian incarnation as a place of welcome, a place of conversation, a place for community. So we have raised our children there. It's right by the university. And it's a space where students can come and borrow books. They can come and walk the dog. We have scholars who come into town and we'll have them offer a seminar. We'll host a meal. And we love to include people beyond and outside of the Christian faith. Anyone who wants to have a conversation about faith, thought, and life, the things that matter.
Yeah.
So it's a place of welcome and hospitality and always food.
Yeah. So what I gather from some of your writing is that living in the Bonhoeffer house means that you may have, 2 to 8 additional roommates at any time who are temporary roommates, who may not sleep there, but who are there all the time. And I think that this gives you really important insight that you are interacting with college students so much. And so I wonder if, and of course this is just at the University of Virginia, we can't generalize too much, but I wonder how you would describe the religious lives of the college students with whom you work. What are they after? What are their religious lives like for those that maybe aren't so connected with college students?
Yeah. Well, I think more and more I'm amazed at students, their passion, their energy, their curiosity. And I know I've read the articles too about, millennials are leaving church and they're never coming back. And, students are refusing to go to church or follow the path that they were raised in. But I see students really wanting to find meaning in their lives, to find purpose, to experience a life of integrity. And they want to know what it's like to live a spiritual life. They may be pushing back against the faith that they were raised in, but in fact, that is their work to do. That is their developmental task. Like they are built to push back. Yeah. Just like through our lives, we sort of wrestle with different issues as we go. So what I see is that they would love to be asked wonderful, big questions. Yeah. They would like to be asked, what do you believe in? What matters to you? What do you value? And they want to hear stories. They want to see lives lived of lives of faith. Yeah. So doctrine, dogma, those are important, to have that intellectual conversation. But I think there's so much more that they're looking for. They're looking for integrated lives. Yeah. So when we talk about at the intersection of faith, thought, and life, we really mean that. What do you believe? What are you learning? What is your purpose? What's going on the personal side? And having those conversations and saying, look, there's a place, God is here in all of this. Yeah. So they really want to be engaged. Yeah. They're amazing.
Yeah, that's great. I'm struck by both the agency that you give them, that they're expected to challenge their faith of their upbringing, but then also the other form of that agency of drawing out their experience, drawing out their interests. It seems like such an important thing to do with anyone, but particularly with college students who are experiencing this new form of autonomy, maybe for the first time. Yeah. Love that. I wonder if you could share a little bit, in your years of working with college students, how obviously, by opening up the house and hosting these lectures, you hope to inform and shape the lives of these students that you interact. I wonder how they've shaped and informed your understanding of faith or of the church or of God as a result of working with them.
Yes. Charles Marsh and I, we founded Theological Horizons in 1991, so many generations of students we've gotten to know. And I think more and more I have seen faith as such a life-giving impulse, that God's grace, God's goodness is so much bigger than I had ever imagined. And I have grown so much, I think, through telling these stories, through listening to their questions.
Yeah.
So when a 20-year-old has lost a friend to suicide and comes to me and says, how could God allow this? I can only grow by these challenges and the suffering and the way that they see the world. So I have had to more and more rely on prayer, and on love and on generosity that the Christian faith and the tradition offers.
Yeah.
So they always push me, because over and over, there's a new crop every year asking many of the same questions, but always in new ways.
Yeah. My chaplain from college said that doing ministry with college students was like ministering to a parade. That as soon as you get them to the point that you want, they're out the door, and you're starting the parade over again. And I've always thought that's a really powerful image.
I'm going to use that.
Yeah, you can. I'll make
Thank
sure
you.
she knows.
I'll steal it.
So one of the things that sort of the other side of the coin with college students and them experimenting with their agency and their unique sense of self is that also means that their parents are hopefully relinquishing agency. They are allowing for their college students to grow into the person that they're going to be as young adults and as adults. And so I'm wondering, a lot of parents have anxiety about this, particularly around faith and about their religious lives. What would you say to parents who might watch this and who have kids that are going off to college or kids that are in college or maybe even recently graduated? What would you say that would give them hope about the journey that their children are on?
Well, I have felt that anxiety myself.
Yeah.
We have 3 children in their 20s. And I mean, you raise this child with all the love, commitment that you have. You raise them, in our case, in the faith, going to church, going to Sunday school, and then there's a lot of fear. Will they choose to get up on a Sunday morning to go to church? But I think always my first answer is, you are not the first parent who worried about this. And I love the story of Augustine, his mother Monica. Man, he just could not wait to leave his mom and what he considered her backward religion of Christianity. And there's a story of when she's meeting with her pastor, crying, whatever is going to become of this kid who's rejected the faith, who refuses to have anything to do with Christianity, who's gone off to the university and only into rhetoric. And the pastor says to her, the child of so many tears, will certainly be, God will care for your child. Yeah. And so Augustine even, she's so obsessed with his faith that he kind of has to sneak on the boat to get to Italy, across the Mediterranean to escape her anxiety and her love. So I just love that story because, of course, God pursued him and Augustine made mistakes and he struggled, but in the end, he became, for all of us, a huge inspiration. So there's so many stories of young adults who did challenge their parents' faith. I think, building on that is, don't chase them down to the river. They will get away from you. But ask them their questions and be willing to see their questions and their challenges as part of the process. As I said, it's their work to do. Yeah. And also be looking for a faith that might look different. Yeah. It may not be the Christian faith or even the spiritual tradition that you gave to them. It may look quite different. But I think the more respect that we can give them and the more integrity we can offer in our own faith, the better off we'll be. Yeah. So I continue looking back to my own faith. Do I live a Christian life that my children would want to embrace? Yeah. Or am I about controlling and having them look like something? So, it's something I think about a lot.
Yeah, so it's even, as a parent. I really appreciate it because it's both it's about the kids, but it's also about your own self-awareness and your self-reflection is growing into this new form of being a parent
Yeah.
that, am I living a life that my kids would want to live? And maybe that's in your control, maybe it's not.
Well, and there's so many Christians, right? I mean, we're in the Christian tradition, and you look across the United States and you see Christianity expressed in so many ways.
Yeah.
And to have our children reject one expression or another, give them some credit for thinking for themselves.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Well, thank you, Karen. I am confident that parents and college students alike will get a lot out of our conversation today, and I'm so grateful for it.
Thank you.
I'm also grateful that you took the time to watch this and hope that you'll join us for the next installment of Speaking in Faith.